Hey guys, editing me here. So when Buckethead and I sat down for this, we just kind of started yapping in the Discord call and things got away from us. So there's no real normal intro for this one. So thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a while since I've had something up. So here's a big chunk of just two exhausted guys talking about the modern state of CS, what's going on, who we're enjoying, who we're critiquing, and things in general. So have a lovely day, and I'll see you at the end of the
Wait.
video. So a week from Monday is when it stops, right?
Yeah, so and that'll include the first 2 days of Bucharest, or the first day of Bucharest.
Okay, so who's even
So
day?
I guess theoretically, like, if VP lose to Rare Atom and Astralis beat FaZe, they could
I
sneak
mean,
their way.
I
I
mean,
don't know how the
I
numbers
know,
will
I
work.
know it was a third place. It was a third place decider, but there is precedent for FaZe losing to that Astralis,
Yeah. Shit.
and they have not looked good.
Who, FaZe or Astralis?
Both, honestly. But
Yeah, I mean Astralis,
yeah, they're. I mean, everyone's trying to make their Kerrigan 2.0 out of a former star player turned IGL. Cadian's sadly just no rifler, and just CS2 seems to not fit him.
So Cadian, like, he lost all of his aura.
Yeah, but I so
Not
is
that aura counts for
no, I
major
know, but
standing,
it
but
does, it does. But no, he's lost a bit of his aura because he wanted to be that showman and that hype up guy, and then lost too many of the moments that he set himself up for.
yeah.
And now he's just kind of on Astralis, and it feels like every single time before Astralis plays, they put out a media statement that just utterly throws him under the bus. Because it's like, oh man, Astralis are going to play today. Cadian, I feel like we're really making progress. Astralis gets utterly dumpstered on the same day that comes out. Like, it's happened like 3 times since he's joined them.
And it feels great every time.
See, it feels to me like that's kind of like, maybe I'm drinking too much Richard Lewis Kool-Aid. That just feels intentional to me.
Honestly, it might be.
Like,
Okay.
oh, fine, we'll let you come play for us, but we're gonna fucking destroy your reputation.
We'll let you play for us, but you're. Wait, did we start recording?
No, not
Oh,
officially, but I started recording like 10 minutes, 5 minutes ago because we started saying some really good stuff off the cuff. And so I
okay,
figured I could
good.
splice it in or splice it out based on anything
No,
else.
100%. I was doing my like
No,
frantic
as
looking
soon
back
as
and
we
forth
started
between
like
monitors.
actually talking, I was like, ooh, it's pretty good.
I
But
mean, yeah, the long and
no.
the short of it is, hopefully Astralis never wins anything.
Yeah, I mean, Stair just re-signed his contract for another 3 years. So totally haven't had Astralis regret signing long-term contracts in the past.
I feel I don't like I don't feel bad for Stare per se,
No.
because theoretically in the situation that he's in, they should be better. I like Stare as a player. And it seems that, like, out of game, he's a cool guy too. He's the only person on Astralis that I'm like rooting for, but it's not even close to the amount that I hate everyone else on the team.
Okay. I see. My hot take is that they never, and I know they won't because the money involved and yada yada. Cuts down, gives Stairs roles. Stair has the mechanical
Yeah.
acumen. He was a star
Yeah.
rifler in previous roles. He is more than he's the best player on the team right now.
Plus, Sound has been sucking.
Shit.
Sound's been sucking
He's
since
been
they joined
so
Astralis.
bad, and it also hurts me because I'm a big Yabby fan because of the Copenhagen Flames run,
Yeah.
and so he's been okay, but I don't know. I think it all just sort of still comes back to Cadian's in-game leading. Just it's sort of like Jame, he hasn't translated to CS2. He hasn't adapted. Something's missing, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, well, like, you brought up Copenhagen Flames. Do you want to know who I want to come back? I still want Hooksy to come back. I think he, he's got his mechanical problems, and everyone knows that, but he's definitely not deserving of just rotting in the nothingness of the free agency pool that is Counter-Strike. Like, he's got to get picked up by somebody. There's got to be a
I
team.
he didn't he I swear to God he played not long ago with
Really?
some of the former Copenhagen Flames boys for something. I can't remember, might have to cut this, but I swear to God something happened not long ago where he was like, "Yeah, we're just going to play a fun, stack for this random small event." But it might have
It
been
wasn't
after.
anything HLTV
Yeah, I
wise.
don't think it was anything big enough to be HLTV wise, but I think it was after Roy announced his retirement, maybe. But
Okay.
no, I completely agree with you. I think Hooksy more than enough has the tactical, experience and leadership qualities necessary to lead a top team still. It's just that I don't know if he wants to come back.
You
Like
don't think so?
I don't think so to a degree because if you look at what he went through, I don't think he could ever come back to a team without some degree of that pressure and reputation staying with him. Like, because it's sort
Yeah.
of it's sort of the Kassad and Bleed angle. No one gave a shit about Bleed until Kassad was their GM, and now everyone's following it to see how they're doing and to either raise or make fun of Kassad or whatever. It would whatever team that Hooksy would join would immediately become infinitely more scrutinized. And I don't think that's what he wants. That's not what makes Counter Strike fun to him. I think everyone wants to challenge for trophies and be the best in the world. But if you're going to be miserable the entire time,
Yeah.
then what's the point?
No, yeah. I mean, you know, being a professional in any sort of sport is all fun until everybody hates you, you know?
Yeah,
And like obviously Hooksy's a very polarizing figure. It's either you think he's the coolest dude ever, or you think he's just the worst and he should never play.
right.
And I feel bad for like it's gotta suck. Cause if I was in that situation, like and I was just getting hated on every single time my team did anything that wasn't win a trophy, bro, I couldn't handle that pressure.
No,
I'd
I
crack so
couldn't.
fast.
I would have cracked so much faster
Yeah.
than him. I have no idea. And imagine the doubt gnawing at his stomach during that Dallas run. I'm sure he knew beforehand. Like I think he even did an interview a while ago that said he was sort of aware beforehand, and that if I miss an event that causes me to no longer be in the team, then I was not worthy enough to be in the team to begin with. Yada yada yada. But just seeing them win that event from afar must have just been so fucking horrible. But also at the same time, just what? I'm free. I'm done. I would love to see him come back with how we got the ecstatic guys at 2 majors ago or whatever. I'd love to see him just pick up a young core of Danish guys and do another Copenhagen Flames or something if he's up for it. But
Yeah.
realistically speaking, he's the most accomplished Danish IGL since Glaive. Since Glaive and Kerrigan became the big two for the scene. We've had spurts here and there, but he won
I
a
mean, yeah, like
Katowice Cologne in the same year.
Snappy's got Dallas, and that's it, right?
And
And then he's,
that was also
Falcons nip.
Dallas when it was after the major.
It was?
Yeah, so Dallas used to be after the major.
Dude, I timelines.
No,
That's
that's
art.
so
I mean,
that's
honestly, that
that's
era
why
of
I'm actually
CS
really
is a blur.
excited. Is because so before, cool, the major happened, everyone's doing their roster moves, everyone's taking their time off. Dallas would always have a shit ton of stand-ins. And it would always have it because, visa issues after the major, everyone's ready for the player break, so no one gives a shit. And so that's why I think Ents, and that's kind of my, I guess, historic hot take, is that's the only reason that Ents and Cloud9 won that event, is because everyone was blown their load at the major. And so this year, it will actually be a competitively interesting event. And that's interesting to me,
I'm worried.
but, oh,
I'm
you're
worried
worried.
for it's like, you know, we sometimes the real world and Counter Strike can blur together. I am worried about the traveling to America for the major for a lot of these players, especially like with the bigger um team sample size that we're going to be getting at the major with the extended format. Like I don't know how many players are gonna miss it, but I just have like a pit in my stomach that says that
There's no way there isn't
you
at
know
least one.
Yeah, there's gonna be. I'm not saying it's gonna be like a nine panda situation where a whole team has to give up their spot, but there's gonna be at least one or two players that can't make it, and that's going to suck.
It is, and it's even more interesting because obviously I'm not very well versed in, immigration isn't the right word, but visa law or
Yeah.
anything in the like. So, if they're here for Dallas and the major, some teams might just, hey, we're going to stay for a month and maybe just boot camp it out here because they were originally going to do that Monterey event too in Mexico. So you could have gone from
Yep.
like Monterey, Dallas, or, bounce around on this part of the hemisphere. But now that that Monterey event's been rescheduled to Copenhagen, people are gonna have to move around a bit more potentially and even re-enter. So I really hope that we don't have any issues for that because that would be really upsetting. But also that's sort of unfortunately out of our control and on the
Yeah.
managers and our stupid government to make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's enough of the politics talk
I was
for the
afraid. I was
episode.
already afraid. I was like, oh man, oh no.
But that you brought up the events moving. That's the second event that the Americas have lost this year because South America was supposed to have Buenos Aires, which got moved
Yeah.
to Astana.
Is Astana the Buenos Aires reschedule?
I
I thought I swear to God, they
think.
announced Astana a long time ago.
Then is Bucharest the one that was
It
supposed to be
might be
Buenos Aires?
Bucharest, but like, no, I remember Buenos Aires getting canceled. It's sort of like, I understand that Mexico doesn't exactly have the greatest international Counter Strike community presence in the world, but I think people very often underrate the ability to attend a tier one Counter Strike event without having to get out a passport.
Yeah. I mean, well, Buenos Aires was supposed to be in Argentina, right?
Oh, wait,
Are you talking
shit.
about Monterey?
Monterey, yes, thank you.
There you
Christ.
go. No, yeah.
Oh my God.
I that's
That's
like that.
getting edited out. Just kidding. I always leave things that make me look bad in.
No, but that is a big hit to our Counter Strike scene. In all honesty, I mean, I think like I'm a very focused in on the building of the smaller scenes as we've touched on before, like
Mhm.
with Bragadelphia and getting the VRS points and them having the West Coast tournament. Like this is all very good, but having two of the top three organizations supposed to run a tournament in our regions and then just them pulling out, I mean, obviously due to logistical problems that they can't really solve,
Right.
that still is a big hit and sucks a lot.
It does, and it also kind of makes you wonder about what's going on behind the scenes because obviously this could be entirely untangentially connected. But there's been all that talk about the sort of not coalition, but let's say coalition against PGL. So it seems like with the open circuit and events in non-standard places give teams a lot more opportunity to flex that power to sort of influence the tournament organizers, which is not a great thing, but
No.
it's also not terrible to allow teams to have more say over things.
Yeah, it's everything is kind of like you got to take the good with the bad. And this is a completely random thought. I'm on a very sporadic brainwave
That's
today,
all I'm about,
but
man. Go for it.
um, you noticed that Eternal Fire is signed up for like every event
Yeah,
this
dude, they are signed up for both Astana and Dallas.
yeah, and then like the major, and they've been to every single tier 1 event that's happened since the beginning of this year. Like
And they haven't missed playoffs.
they haven't won a single map. I don't know if they have. I know they've won a game. I don't know if they've won a map in playoffs either though.
They have. They've been to the grand
They've won a
finals.
map this year, or are you thinking about Pro League?
Pro League or no, didn't they play against someone in didn't they play against Spirit or someone in the grand finals? Swear to God, they went to the grand
I'm
finals
almost
of
looking here.
Blast Bounty or some shit.
You know what? Okay. They haven't won a playoff game since January 26th because
Okay.
you are correct.
Yeah, no, but no, but I didn't even realize that. That's kind of even more staggering. You're saying they have
Yeah.
not won a playoff game since January?
Yeah, they haven't won a single stage game,
Holy
which
fuck.
is I mean, like, there's been tweets, like, I know Zentaris tweeted out recently that they're, like, or at least him personally, is super burnt out,
Well,
and
he seems to just be in a slump for his form comparatively to what we consider Zontaris to be. You know, it's sort of like, oh, monoseason a slump, he's 1.2. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck.
It's like, oh no, he's still above average. This is terrible.
Right.
But no, yeah, I mean, like, you gotta imagine the wear and tear on these guys. Like, not even just from playing every tournament, because there's only so much Counter-Strike any person can play. But you're doing these, like, I was looking at a map of where they have to go. They're up in Europe, and then they have to go down to like the Saudi Arabia area, and then from there they have to go to Australia, and then back to Europe, and then America.
Ugh.
And it's like, dude,
What the hell?
that's like half of your month on a plane.
You got to get those compression sleeves for your legs, man. You're gonna get blood clots with all that flying. Like,
You gotta sign up for a frequent flyer program, dude. Jesus.
I honestly, you know, if planes aren't gonna get any faster, they need to start including like a minor gym space at the back or something that people can stand in and just like do sit-ups and push-ups.
Yeah, no, you know what, the one fear I have about trying to make this passion my career, I hate planes.
Really?
Um
Okay.
I
I love
I
them.
you know, I've flown to a few places. I've flown to Germany for Cologne, and then I've been to Kansas City, and I've been to, is that the only other? I'm gonna go to Vegas. That's another plane. I sit there in complete silence for, you know, this 6 hour flight, just
Oof.
shaking, being like, oh god, this is the worst. This is the worst.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude. It's unless like if I have a friend or like my girlfriend with me, it'll be a
Mhm.
little bit better because
Well,
then I'm
yeah.
like I'll be grounded. But like the flight to Cologne, I was sitting next to this very sweet um Polish couple that were in like their 70s probably. Um and they were trying to talk to me, but I didn't know them.
Right.
And you know, I'm a shy person and also in the plane above the ocean. And I was like, guys, I'm freaking out. Let's not have a
Was it
conversation right
on one of
now.
those like triple lane wide ones where there's like
Yep.
333 Oh, I was
Yeah.
stuck in the absolute middle between two adults when I went on an international flight when I was with my family when I was younger. Once
Oh,
once once you start
jeez.
to push that like 8 hour mark of being on a plane, that's where I start to lose it.
Yeah.
Like, cause
Like,
I grew up around them,
I can never
but
imagine going to, like, Australia. Like, I would love to, but, like, that's, like, a 16-hour flight for me, dude.
right, but then you think about those people who come from like Australia to play these events, or even, you know, like my parents are doing some light traveling, which isn't relevant to this, but they're like my uncles as well. Like they'll take, yeah, well, you know, we're just gonna hop a, you know, like 12 hour flight to here and then to here because they like to travel cheap, and I'm like, I can't even
Yeah.
sit still for that. Like being
Yeah,
in an
no.
enclosed space, unable to fully stretch out my legs for more than 8 hours is where I start to. But that's the life of a traveling pro. Who
You
knows?
know
Maybe
what?
we'll
We
invent
should
teleportation.
I hope so, or flying cars, at least I can control it at that point. Um, but we should probably talk about some Counter-Strike.
Yeah, no. What? This is the way more fun part. This is our talking counter lean in where we're talking about men's health. But
Yeah, no, I was thinking that the whole time where I was like, we sound like the beginning of every Talking Counter episode where they like just bullshit for 30 minutes and then make fun of Moses and then they're like, all right, guys, so how about these playoffs?
yeah, so how about these play? Right, fucking a. But so indeed, how about these playoffs? We just got done with the Blast rivals, right?
Yes. Or was it Blast Rivals? It was
Yeah, right.
Blast.
Or
It was an event.
I'll
It was
cut it to whatever. It was just Open Lisbon.
yes, okay. I didn't know what these circuits or not
No, I
circuits,
mean
these
they're
new naming
renaming all
things
their
are
stuff
all.
this year, but I mean I already
Yeah,
care
this
more
year is
about
the
Blast events than I have in the past 2 years. So
yeah. But how about another team that at least I love to hate on, Vitality.
really, you're
They're
a
making it
Vitality
really
hater.
hard. I'm not a Vitality hater. I am. I for a long time was under the impression that Vitality was kind of overrated. But not right now. I can't say anything bad about this team. Apex is rolling back the clock. Zywoo was playing phenomenally. Rops is playing great. Mezzy, you always love Mezzy. And then, you know, Flames is like they're all just playing good. There's no one bringing their team down. Apex is having his some of his best matches in years.
Hmm.
And this team is just unstoppable right now. For the past 3 tournaments in a row, I think they've won.
Yeah, they've. So looking at their trophy cabinet, Lisbon, Pro League, and
Kata.
Katowice. That's crazy. And then if you also, so my big thing with Vitality is I think that they're obviously a phenomenal team like everyone else. But the thing that really sets them apart, in my opinion, above everyone else right now, especially with our weird landscape we're in, is I would say that Apex, Mezzi, and whether you want to throw Flames or Rops in there as the third tertiary person,
Mm.
I would are better than their equivalents, I would say, within every other top team. I would say Apex is a harder shooter
Yeah.
and a better caller than Chopper.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Exactly. I would say Mezzi is one of the best anchors in the world, and whatever people think about him, he has not had a negative, or I guess he has not had a red event on HLTV. He has had since, let's say, Esports World Cup after the break last year when they started picking up steam. He has had 3 events in the past year where he is in the .9 range, and 2 of them were .98. The
Yeah.
dude just is a floor for Vitality in a way that no other teams really have. And I think that that's kind of their weird strength is that Rops is this weird lurk anchor almost. And you have Mezzi who's grown into this other phenomenally consistent anchor. And you have you have hyper aggro Flames, hyper aggro Apex, Zywoo fitting in between to fill all the holes and get whatever spots he wants to be the star he is. And they're also just one of the most disgustingly dominant teams on pistols and force buy rounds. It's how is anyone else supposed to compete? I feel like look at their competition. Brolin is a great shooter, but I would say he's not as good of an IGL as Apex yet. He may surprise all of us, but there's when you just start to go down the line of all the other teams that are available right now, it just feels like whether or not Zywoo is the best in the world is irrelevant because his support staff is so good that they make up for it. It's very Simple's Na'Vi that actually won the major in Grand Slam. If you go back and watch that major, Simple almost lost the major MVP to Bit in the final series because Bit was on that much of a tear. Which is my equivalent prediction for this upcoming major is that Zywoo will get the MVP, but it will not be this lights out, he is the dominant. It will be this is his Grand Slam Na'Vi.
I really can't even argue with that. With all the statistics that we have right now.
That was a long one.
No, I know, and that's what I was like. Everything you said is just kind of objectively true. Like, we haven't seen a team that I would say is this dominant
Or
based
complete.
off of their entire team. It's insane because you think about the past dominant teams that we've Spirit during the beginning of 2024. That was just kind of donk. Obviously, Shiro was there and Chopper was, but it donk. If they didn't have donk, they would have lost. This Vitality team, I don't even think you necessarily need a Zywoo on this team to be having the performances that they're having. Obviously, Zywoo is a huge part of it, but it's such a good team chemistry. And if you look at the events that are coming up before the major, I probably should have looked up the ones that they're going to. There's not a lot of
they're going to be at Melbourne and Dallas are their next chances for the Grand Slam.
Oh, well, I mean, Melbourne, it's kind of the same. And then who's going to be at Dallas? I kind of forgot Dallas was even a thing that's happening.
Yeah, I know.
I'm looking at these teams. They're going to wipe the floor at Dallas.
Yep.
And Melbourne, they probably will as well. I'll say that, depending on how Spirit's going to perform at that tournament, maybe there's a chance. And then, the Mouse has been playing very good. There's always a chance for an upset. But if you're a betting man, you're putting your money on Vitality for every tournament that's upcoming until the end of the season.
Oh yeah. And what was it? Was it I don't think it was the Lisbon finals. Maybe it was the Pro League finals. One of their matches this year, they finished with every single player having within 2 kills of each other over a multi-map series.
Jesus.
Like
Yeah, it's in
their
you. How do
floor
you
is
stop
just
it?
too strong.
Yeah,
And my speculative way on how you stop it is that there's only really two ways that it gets stopped. One, Zantares wakes up because Joda has been such a disgusting upgrade over Calyx, it is not even funny. He has risen the floor of Eternal Fire so much that they're able to hang in these games longer and sort of stall until Zantares or Woxic gets online. And on the other side of the spectrum is goddamn Senzu needs to get over his playoff weakness because going into the Shanghai playoffs, it was Donk, Zaiwu, Monesi, Nico, Senzu.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that is our only chance, really, right now.
I I am a huge Mongols fan. Not only am I excited because like they come from this underrated region and they've built from the ground up, they're also just a fun team to watch. Like are very confident. Minzinho's getting a little bit of a voice on him too, which is fun to hear him chirp at people. But that's always been Senzu's problem. As far back as when Mongols first started to like splash in, as soon as there's pressure on the team, especially in terms of stage matches, Senzu just completely flops. And if he didn't, you said he was top five statistically going into the playoffs of the major.
Yeah,
He's probably top five statistically going into most tournaments if he doesn't have this problem where he just can't really handle all the pressure that's putting under them.
yeah, his contemporaries at that stat line are some of the greatest players to ever touch the game. So if he's able to, translate any more percent of that into playoffs, it will be the thing that makes the difference for them. And the slight pivot I'll make, just to be negative, is that the fact that the two teams that I didn't say, FaZe and G2, are no longer top 5 teams in the world.
Yeah.
That is insane to
So
me, fundamentally.
I yeah, I do think that FaZe has a little more hope than G2, I will say, at least with the current roster that is there, because there is still a decent adjustment that needs to come with Elige. Culturally, NA Counter Strike versus culturally EU Counter Strike are very different, especially not to shit on complexity for the sake of shitting on complexity. When you're coming out of that system and going into Kerrigan's system, that's got to be a wake up call in terms of how to play the game.
That's what I would think, but that's what my sort of gut reaction. So I've played competitive sports my entire life.
Yeah.
I know how to be a piece in a team. I know how to be a leader in a team. I know how to do what I need to do in order for us to succeed. And so when Elige joins a roster that made both major grand finals last year, and within the first month is talking about how they need to improve their comms, improve their this, improve their that. My gut reaction to all of that is, what are you talking about, man? These people have been in more major finals than you have by a country mile. You are one of the most talented riflers in the world and in the history of Counter-Strike. If that were me, obviously the reason they brought him in is to exert his individual influence over the team to a degree and have an impact on them going forward. But I'm telling Kerrigan, bro, while we figure that out, use me as the pointiest stick in the bunch and let's go win a couple trophies.
Yeah. And there's you got to think about FaZe. FaZe at the majors was a very different team than FaZe last year. If you just look at it, like kind of, I don't want to say both of those were Cinderella stories, but definitely that last
No, the
major.
last one, no one had them.
Yeah, that was like I don't even think I put them making playoffs, which was kind of a long shot, but I just had no confidence in that team.
I didn't think they were
Um,
going to beat G2 with the wet fish or flop fish form they showed us all year. I didn't think they were
yeah,
going to beat G2 in that quarter.
I mean, hey, the major is around the corner, so for all we know, FaZe is probably going to go back
So
to the
that's
finals.
my gamble. Also, is that FaZe is absolutely going to pull it out of their ass because they're
Oh
FaZe.
yeah,
In the past, like 4 times I've doubted them, they have. So
I mean, there's no even with Rob's leaving and bringing in a Liege, there's no player there that's going to crack under pressure. Sure, there might be like fundamental errors that they're making right now, and there's maybe a lack of confidence. But as soon as you get those high important tournaments, like, the majors, Cologne, Kato, you kind of expect FaZe to kick it into a different gear.
I,
As
yeah.
for G2, they suck.
Yeah, they just kind of suck right now, and that hurts
Yeah.
my heart because I think Malbs is taking it very personally, and it is
Yeah.
not your fault, my dude.
You can
You,
tell that, like,
uh,
did you see the M80 game that they had
yeah,
recently?
yeah. I watched. I pretty much watched every tier one game that I can.
Good. But like, there seems to be a thing missing from Mobs right now. I don't know if it's confidence or if it's just like, maybe just kind of letting the situation of the team take over him. But I specifically bring up the M80 game for that reason, because although they did win and they eliminated M80, Mobs just, wasn't there. And he didn't even look like he was mentally playing the same game that he normally does. He kind of just looked like very shallow and scared and not wanting to take the same sort of, aggressive initiative and um the same gunfights, honestly, that he normally would. It just seems like he is kind of shelling himself off.
He he seems. So first of all, I completely agree with what you said. He seems just rather fragile, and I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the way I've been describing G2 at this point is death by intangibles, because without Nico, they're just missing so many extra little things that either he did for them or we didn't know that he was doing for them. And
Yeah.
so, you know, Malbs is now the big dog other than Monacy on the team. It's not, hey, Malbs, go in there and Nico's cleaning up behind you. It's, Malbs, you are the guy.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still rumors about what Mondesi is gonna do come his contract running out. And if you're Mobs and you're in that team and you lose Mondesi,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just, you and Snacks and Hunter,
Hunter.
you're like, it
No hate
just,
for Heavy God. He still needs time.
oh, Heavy God, I have no doubt that he's gonna
He'll be
continue to
fine.
just keep
He'll be a
improving.
good
But like
anchor.
Snacks and Hunter hasn't been the greatest player since like Hooksy and JKS were on the team. And Snacks, I feel like it's pretty well documented that he just kind of is there.
I think Ash's greatest achievement in all of Tier 1 Counter-Strike is not making the major with disparate pieces, but somehow selling Snacks to G2. That is honestly his biggest achievement in Tier 1 Counter-Strike.
In that, I remember watching that qualifier, and I think it was the 2-2 game for advancement. It was 9 Pandas and Gamer Legion, and every single person on Gamer Legion didn't do anything except for Snacks, where he put his soul into that nuke game, which was map 3. And I think G2 just saw that performance and was like, you know what, Snacks, he's got to be the
Come
best
on!
IGL.
Get out
Yeah,
of
yeah,
here.
you got it. Come on, buddy. And then, yeah, they should just bring back Bialy and Pasha
Yeah,
and
so we're just
Neo,
building.
call it a day.
Can we just build a Virtus Pro coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, like, at this point, fucking why not? G2 is not off of a cliff yet, but they definitely,
They're
at
very close.
maximum, got like 3 fingers hanging on the cliff edge.
Oh yeah, they're Monesi. So my other hot take is that Monesi actually hasn't been himself since Shanghai, and whether you want to attribute that to outside or inside factors, I'm very instinct driven when it comes to these types of things. And just looking at the way he carried this is going to sound lame as hell too, but looking at the way he carried his crosshair ever since, like
Yeah.
he's just not as fluid. He's just not as this, that, the other thing. He seems a little bit off, and he's still one of the best players in the world, but it just feels like this G2 has no legs under it for them to stand on. And, when you're the real terrifying question for Malbs is if he is stuck there for some period of duration, when that contract is up, jump ship, go to another team, pray he can get a better offer. Obviously, he doesn't want to come back to NA.
Yeah, I mean, no one does.
No one does. I mean, okay, here's your real hot take then. Save all the corporate money for the next year or whatever until Malbs' contract expires. NA super team, fucking, I don't know, give me there's no roll over Lash, so no Lake, but like give me Malbs, JBA, fucking Wreck. Get the band back together and add some new names. They could make it work.
I mean, I remember when during like the whole roster mania thing when Elige still wasn't confirmed going to FaZe. I don't remember the exact roster, but like there was an opportunity for G2 to just become an NA team. Like if you picked up Mobs, because that was already known, just get a Liege and then like I don't remember who the other player going around was, but there was a chance. And if G2 was NA, wouldn't be having this conversation.
We
We'd
wouldn't
be,
be all
super
love, all
bandwagon.
praise. Yeah,
Yeah. But you
yeah. Go Blue
gotta stir
Jays.
us up.
Go Chicken Coop.
NRG, Lycus, all those teams.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Those are the only ones on the brain. I know Lycus is advanced, but hey, you know what? We don't got much going for us.
So shout out to Solar Gravity.
But it's an NA team that might have some stuff going for them. Liquid, with
Oh
the
yeah.
whole Shuhei situation, presumably
I
cutting
totally
JKS.
forgot that was even a thing.
Yeah,
That's how much has been going on.
yeah. Honestly, like
Ugh.
this whole just this whole first season of the year, I feel like everything has just completely flown by my head, and I just have like very small bits and pieces of what I actually remember from this season happening. I don't know if it's just because of VRS and everything's all messy, or if I'm just kind of like losing it.
Yeah.
But
Aren't we all? It's current year,
yeah,
man. We're all losing it. But
yeah,
no, this year feels like it's gone by super fast. But also, I've been doing a ton of real life stuff, so that may impact it. But like, that's the kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is that with the first week of Bucharest being the sort of last thing to qualify for the
yeah,
major, this is now the time frame that we have to judge teams on in the future. So if a team by this point in the season is not performing well enough to maintain a guaranteed slot to the major or qualify for the RMQ based on the size of the organization, if you're one of the standard, top 15 to teams and you're sitting around 20, yeah, this ain't working. But if you're, like if you're an Aurora, hell yeah, you're doing
yeah.
fine. But the like FaZe has not made us, like I said before, FaZe only made one playoff this year. And for how, as much as I love these players and I love this team and I love everything about it and I want them to succeed, we have to, if they don't perform at the major, this season is an objective failure. And we have to
Yeah.
start looking at, not just FaZe, but other teams like that. And while G2 may have, squeaked in over Mongols at the Blast Open, they really shouldn't have won that game and they got dumpstered right away. And it feels like our real sort of top five is, obviously Vitality, Spirit, or Mouse with Eternal Fire and Mongols. And everyone else it just feels like there's a much bigger gap after that.
You brought up the MRQ, and I was looking at the ranking for the teams that are going to advance to what stages and whatnot. G2 is still a stage 3 team, which blows my mind, and FaZe is on the cusp. They're the highest ranked in stage 2, and theoretically, I mean, I don't know how the games coming up will affect the ranking. I'm pretty sure if FaZe were to win against Astralis and G2 were to lose against Gamer Legion,
That is an
FaZe would
excellent point.
hit that cutoff, and then it would end there because it ends the 7th.
Right. Thank God they got rid of the time of day requirements for this shit. Like,
This is like there's a whole new like layer of knowledge to Counter-Strike right
there
now, and
shout out to Messioso. He's the only one keeping it straight.
oh, I mean, dude, yeah, no, Messioso is honestly like the only source of information you need in terms of how tournaments operate and like the other, other things within the scene. But without him, I would be looking at this and probably have zero clue of what I was actually talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting, and also back on the Liquid train, now that they've swapped out a Asia region player for a American or wait, no, for a European player,
Yeah.
that makes them have to go either EU or NA RMR
Yeah.
or not RMR,
Um,
RMQ, whatever. But
they should stay because the way that it works, if I'm not mistaken, you compete out of the region that gives you the highest seed, right?
yes, the one you would
Okay.
benefit the most from, I think, is where you compete.
Well, so that's just like an immediate win for Asia.
Right. Yeah, they
Assuming
get
that
extra team.
Shuhei does come in and JKS does
Right,
leave the
assuming that
team.
takes place in this small time frame between the major and
Yeah.
now.
Because if Pain were to overtake Liquid, which I mean the race has been pretty close this season, Furia was above Liquid for a little bit.
And
That
Payne's
means
honestly been underperforming, in my
yeah,
opinion.
I that's listen. There's so many Counter Strike teams right now that I'm trying to think about what Pain's even been doing.
They've
Oh
they've
my
they've
goodness.
just been playing to the level of their opponent a lot,
Right.
and they came off screaming, because Davideus was quite the monster at the start of the year. But they've lost a lot of games that you wouldn't think they would lose, and they haven't found that stability of being a consistent 20-10 ranked team. But I still think they're
Oh
there.
yeah.
I still think there's
Like
potential, but they've just been underperforming.
at Pro League, they lost to M80 and FlyQuest,
Yeah,
which is
that's
like,
losing to
yeah,
FlyQuest, who kicked Degster after that event, is not the look. Oh, wait, was
yeah.
that before
And
that
then
event? I don't remember.
no, the Netic pickup was when was the Netic pickup? Wait,
Right?
I got this. Yeah, no, he was their first tournament. Oh, he hasn't even had a tournament with
Okay, yeah. So
FlyQuest yet.
it was after Pro League then. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, and I mean they went 3 maps against not FlyQuest, back on the Pain
Right,
conversation.
Pain
They
on the Pain
went
train.
3 maps to Lin Vision and 3 maps to Namigo, which nothing against either of those teams, but like Pain should be
No, Pain is a team made up of
yeah,
individuals we expect more of.
100%.
That's that's just staggering to me. But now we have Liquid re-entering that. Obviously, Shuhei has been linked with Liquid, but he has not signed.
Yeah.
So we very well still could be having Liquid go, we're gonna play in the Asia area, but God, I hope not.
Well, they
That would
accepted the well, okay, I don't know how it would work if the roster were to change, but there was the thing out from Messioso that said they accepted the Asia invite for
right,
um
right, right, right.
the land that just has been moved to studio in Copenhagen. Um,
Hmm.
but if JKS, I guess, well, it's based off of prior VRS ranking, so it doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah, and like I said, he's also technically still in the team, so
This is stupid.
it's so
Just like
it's so
a
weird.
little bit. I still think VRS is good, and I actually think we are seeing the benefits of VRS now that the teams and more of the fans understand it. But it is just like so convoluted that my little brain is trying to wrap around it. Also, I don't like how it ends this early. I know that
Right,
there's
like
the qualifiers that have to go on, but does the MRQ uh like really need to take place 2 months before the major?
yeah, I don't know about that, and obviously all this is still in testing, and Valve is literally making changes on the fly as we go. But it just, I think it's great, and you of all people are going to see why it's great because you are going to the event that has arguably been most impacted by it, which is
Oh,
Frag
Philadelphia.
Vegas
Let's
with
go.
Nip, with goddamn
Mhm.
all the teams that are showing up to that you have no reason to ever attend one of those events.
Yeah, there's actually I've been keeping a very close eye on this because I am so excited to have the chance to be a part of this. 34 teams now, some standouts are getting info. Supernova Comets who has been tearing up Impact and also made playoffs and I think won 2 playoff games at Philly, which is huge for them. Fisher College, M80, Complexity, NIP, NRG, Blue Jays,
Right. No,
other
the
teams. I'm
we
looking still.
we've
It's
always
great.
we've always talked about, we need another pro league in NA. We need another yada
Yep.
yada of getting people here. Well, VRS has just created a weekend where a couple of European teams far above the quality of your average, fuck around, find out NA team are going to show up and compete and be in the town for the weekend and play Face It probably for the weekend. And
Oh yeah, Mercenaries. That's the team I was thinking of. Like you have there's multiple players going to this tournament that have won majors. And when you put that in the perspective of like a startup NA tournament that after COVID, it lost a lot of the wind under its wings. Um, that's crazy, and that's such a good thing for NA Counter Strike to be able to build. And this is the first time Fragadelphia is going out west, and this is the first time a lot of the people on the West Coast are going to have the opportunity to compete at a LAN that does mean something. And you have the chance to go against a 2 times major winner. You have the chance to go against the greatest NA IGL of all time. It's such a cool opportunity, and you can get Valve regional major, whatever the hell they're called, points. It's great. Everything's great.
no, it's fantastic because so much of, especially, something I try to articulate to people sometimes is that America is fucking huge, which no shit.
Yeah.
But I come from fighting games, and the metaphor that I can give you is the green arcade. Within South Korea, there was an arcade that everyone met up at to practice fighting games. It is prolific, and it used to be lined around the edge of the place with the trophies won at tournaments and at Evo and at blah blah by the people who play there.
Right.
Because South Korea is a geographically smaller country, it's easier for everyone to get together at that location, and thus all of the top players within that area were able to meet on the same terms and compete and consistently improve. North America is so fucking big that, we have to travel country lengths just to attend a LAN.
Yeah.
I to go to I remember being in Iowa when I was in college and first getting into Counter Strike, and I googled if there were any LANs around me, and there was one like 12 hours away. And I was like, okay, well, can't make that drive right now.
I
So
mean, like, there's I wouldn't even say there's 3 points of like access. Philadelphia, I feel like is a big hub for NA Counter Strike. Then you have Texas general area. Um, Toronto is really big, but it doesn't have as many people prioritizing that area. So it's just so hard
well, that's
that
what
you
Launders
can
is
meet
doing.
people. Yeah, oh dude, don't even get me. Launders Land is great. I may
That's
have
where I
gotten
met you.
13 note on stage, but yeah. Did you see me get 13 note?
Maybe I was drinking a lot.
You know what? Fair enough. I didn't get 13 note. That didn't happen.
It
I
was all
completely
just an
lied.
illusion of the addled mind. But
Actually, if we're talking about statistics, because of what happened at Laundersland, my 13-0 loss actually never happened.
oh, I was gonna say I thought you were gonna leverage that into talking about Vitality 13-0ing Maus, but that works too.
Oh, yeah, 13-0, 13-11, 13-11. Good on Mouse for coming back and keeping the
No, that is
series
monumental
close.
for their mental.
Yeah, but like Vitality just kind of after that 13-0, I was like, this is over. Obviously, Mouse still
They made it
brought
very
it back
close.
and made it all the way to map 5, but at the end of the day, I still in my heart was just like, they're not winning this. They're Mouse.
Well, you know what's even more damning? They won the pistol on Train Map 5 on
Hmm.
CT side. It is a 66% chance that the T's win the pistol on Train. So they even won the hardest round for them to win on the map and still lost.
And lost like 13-7,
It
I
would,
think. So
yeah.
not even relatively that
No,
close.
they got out CT sided on Train. The most T sided map in the pool. Like,
Yeah. And you know
oh,
what? That's actually a big talking point for Vitality because I feel like when uh the beginning of this year right before the roster hit this like ginormous climb, Vitality did just kind of feel like a little off, especially on the CT side, if I'm remembering correctly, where it just seemed like the team wasn't flowing super naturally to each
Right.
other.
Many people
And
were
then
criticizing Apex
yeah,
playing Khan and other similar positions.
and then now like look at them. Also, I was a big proponent of being like, Apex, I understand why he wants to play these key parts in the map, but it's not always worth it because of his mechanical potential at his current state in his career. Doesn't matter anymore.
Oh,
Bro like top fragged 3 games in the semi and finals. So like it's fine.
I'll also make one statement as a longtime fan of this player and his previous teams. Spinks did not look that good a single game during his time in Vitality, as he does
Yeah.
now on Mouse. This was the
I
Spinks that we got from Ents.
yeah, there's definitely a clear mental block, we'll say, on his time of Vitality. And I feel like that's a very well documented thing where they just kind of seem to actually hate each other.
It's
Like
very
it seems
French of
like
them.
there's genuine like animosity between all of the Vitality, or well, especially Apex, but the Vitality players and Spinks, and it's good to see him on Mouse and doing well. And they won a trophy, he's performing well. But then you see him lose against Vitality, and it's like, ooh, that's gotta sting.
It does, but that also, he was the one carrying them through a lot of those maps. Like, he had some disgusting
Yeah,
maps against them.
yeah,
And so if you think, from the perspective of Spinks as well, Mouse is the only real team standing up to them in the long form, meaning that the only way to beat Vitality was to get their former player to basically give you all the secrets.
let's see who can stop Vitality. We need former Vitality players.
RPK
Mercenaries.
finally comes back.
Yeah, let's just get
He
a
hits their
team of
transport with a car.
we get Happy out from Valorant, bring him back.
He's probably feeling challenged, man. We've had a bunch of Asian players come up giving us some disgusting Deagle clips that are kind of putting his to
Yeah.
shame.
You know what? Fun fact, Happy used to coach my friend Koala Noob. This is completely off track. Koala Noob was
cares?
was a super up and coming advanced player for a while. And he played with the core of the Lycus Empire team that I currently cast, which Stormy is a very close friend of mine. But yeah, Koala Noob, he's like a super pro in Valorant. He's on Navi right now. He's getting coached by Angel.
Fuck.
Yeah, dude, he's played along the likes of Nitro, of Happy. Don't know why I thought of that. I just my brain
Happy
thought about Happy.
connections. Always fun.
Yeah, shout out Koala Noob. Really, really cool guy, and I'm happy he's doing well over in Valorant, even if your game is fucking stupid.
Yeah, but he's on Navi, so if I could be on Navi, I don't care what game it is.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, like
Like,
that's
goddamn.
like top 5 org if we're just talking about games.
Everything. Liquid, Navi.
Moist.
I don't follow enough sports that have them in it.
That's do you know what that is? That's Moist
Yeah,
Critical.
that's Moist Critical, and didn't him and DSG merge brands or whatever?
Was it hit or was it
Distinguished
Ludwig?
Toast or Ludwig? Yeah, maybe it was Ludwig. I know that he merged with another streamer's team of some sort of
I'm
organization.
so out of date with the only
I don't
Twitch
follow
streamer
them.
I watch
don't
is
follow them.
yeah, the only Twitch streamer I watch is some Mario 64 speedrunner. Besides that, any like pop culture
Which
streaming...
Mario 64 speedrunner? I watch enough summoning salt videos.
It was why am I blanking on his name? Unfortunately, he's always come really close, but then lost. Simply, that's his name.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's your shout out to Simply.
Yeah, I'm giving everyone love today apparently, and none of them are Counter-Strike players. They're just people that I think of.
Fair enough. I mean, while on that train, shout out Nart and see you at Austin. But
Shout out Nart.
yeah,
He's a cool guy. He was on HLTV podcast a few times. He's a good brain for the game. Like obviously he's known for like his smokes and stuff like that, but he's actually a very knowledgeable member of the community that I feel like people don't put enough respect on.
I'm very excited to meet him. So, fucking
Yeah, cool
I obviously everyone, when you get into Counter-Strike, oh hey, this is a video that shows me my smokes in like 20 seconds. Save.
Yeah, dude. I got
get that
like
out.
my my Twitter bookmarks are just like
Yep.
thousands of smoke videos. Same thing with honestly, I had a phase where my TikTok was Counter-Strike smoke, so I have those favorited as well. Shout out to people who do the stuff like that. I could never. I
Yeah. Shout out to
too lazy.
Anders. Anders puts in like fucking hours of work on that shit every day for fun. Like on stream. I don't even watch his
Yeah.
streams. I just know that he does it. And I was like, damn, that's respect, man. On my
Shout out
mind,
to
shout out to the Mongols for becoming national athletes for Mongolia. That's sick as hell.
yeah.
Uh,
I think they're the official Mongolian sports team. If I'm
yeah,
not mistaken, or
they're
just,
like state sponsored athletes now.
that is so cool.
It's
They deserve it, man.
one of the
They
coolest
they're
things I've ever heard, honestly.
they are such a good team.
They are,
Like
and
not even. It's great.
it's great. Happy to see them grow. And one last question I'll ask is this year, do you think you would attribute Mouse's ability to maintain this competitive form more to Spinks coming in and Brolin stepping up in a change in structure in the team in the honeymoon? Or is this the year that Cyclone finally gets his goddamn flowers? Because he has built a consistent structure from goddamn all the way from the Academy League all the way up to now a basically number 2 team in the world just himself over the past 5 years, and he even gets to have Zipix as his assistant coach. Like, I know this is something I've said before, but one of these big orgs needs to treat the transfer market and take some of the money they set aside for one of their player moves and buy one of these legacy coaches or one of these like full system coaches. Like that, like
I think you got to credit both. Like I think actually, you know what? My argument might just be giving more credit to Cyclone because, like, Shuei was a great IGL, and I think he laid a lot of the groundwork for that team. But there was the clash of interests between Shuhei and I don't know if it was the rest of the team or with Cyclone specifically, but clearly there was a difference in viewpoint of the game. And Brolin, I feel like, kind of bridged the gap where he obviously learned a lot from Shuhei and other great IGLs that he's played with in the past. But I think Brolin just is fully bought into what Cyclone is telling him to do. I think he's very moldable right now, where Shuhei wasn't as moldable. He was more bought into what he's learned through trial and error. And honestly, Brolin's kind of got a knack for it. It seems like he's still putting in good performances. He's calling well enough to have Mouse be making these playoff runs and winning a trophy. So it's good out of them. I do think Cyclone does deserve more credit than he gets, but I want to give a little bit of credit to Brolin as well.
Yeah, no, Brolin has really fundamentally surprised me because he being, a less vocal individual within a majority of his past teams, we knew he was cracked at a point in his time and people labeled him potentially a Krieg abuser, but to see him sort of have this second wind after we had all but written him off during his NIP final stages, see him now be IGLing the number 2 team in the world pretty much. It's staggering for his career, and it makes me want to speculate one other thing that has no bearing on anything.
Okay.
Frozen is going to become an elite IGL.
Oh, I could.
Frozen and Brolin both have been playing in the top tier of Counter-Strike since they were literal babies. When you think of a young veteran, that's Brolin and Frozen, man. They're not even 25, right?
Frozen at this point might be. Brolin, I want to say, is my age, which kind of makes me. Yeah, Brolin is my age, 22. That makes me feel terrible about myself. I think Frozen is starting to get a little
pulling him up right now.
Age,
he's 22.
He's
Frozen
22.
That's my point. That is my point.
Oh, damn.
That is my point because they are basically the same sort of trajectory. Brolin goes up into NIP, plays with all these legendary, long-standing players. He played with Fnatic, right? And played with all these legendary players. Yeah, he played with Fnatic, played with all these legendary players, and has all this absurd experience for his age. And he's only 22. So now imagine So there, I guess if I'm going to take it a step further, Kerrigan retires, coaches phase, Frozen becomes IGL.
You're not on the Twist comeback bandwagon?
No, I'm never on the Twist comeback bandwagon. Twist is a phenomenal mechanical rifler who has an. I don't know him, so I can't say these things with any degree of real weight. But I think he wants to be. I think his ego wants him to be an IGL, but his skill set is one of the best riflers in the world, and throwing that away to be an IGL, I think, is a waste.
Yeah, I wanted to believe in the Twist IGL. There was just no proof behind it.
I didn't, man. We saw Device do it. We saw fucking everyone try to do this shit, and the only person who has ever successfully pulled it off is Apex, and that's because he had goddamn Zonic helping him do it.
Yeah. Ooh, Zonic. Okay.
Oh, we gonna talk about that?
I've been hearing a lot of people say that Zonic's a fraud.
He's on fraud watch for his current performance.
Yeah.
Historically, there is no way he could ever be a fraud.
Okay, you know what? I agree with you. I think that's the correct point of view. But let me play devil's advocate.
Oh, do it. I like it.
Zonic was the coach of the greatest 5 players of all time in terms of being on a team together, right?
Yeah.
Astralis. Who's to say that they needed Zonic there, even? They could have just won without him. And then he goes to Vitality, playing with Zywoo, who's one of the greatest Counter-Strike players of all time. He had Magic in that system as well. Apex, doing a great job of calling. Who even needs Zonic? Now he goes to Falcons, and he sucks. And he's been sucking, and it feels like there's no motivation. There was that whole, say something clip that came out, which I do think is taken out of context.
Oh, 100%.
But if I'm being devil's advocate,
oh yeah.
If I'm being devil's advocate, well, say something, man. Make a call.
Right.
Who needs Zonic? I rest my case.
The defense will deliberate on this for a number of hours and get back to you with a finding. But I agree to a degree, only to a let's say I agree to a degree, which is a horrible sentence to say because of how it sounds.
Yeah.
It's similar in respect to last year's Vitality. Do you credit Xtaz for holding them together well enough to win Cologne, or do you discredit him for not holding them together enough to win more trophies with the team that they had?
Ooh.
Because Zonic has just, I love it, but Zonic has just churned through all these players, and this sort of modern Counter-Strike approach of buy a core, figure it out, I hate it. Because, as was spoken about on some other publications and shows of a much grander variety than this, Zonic, Magic is kind of Zonic's enforcer, how shall we say, on the server. And when Snappy was under him, they apparently overwrote him all the time. So maybe you might be right.
Again, I don't necessarily believe the words I said.
No, but it's a perspective that is worth
you put it out there, and you can't really make too much of an argument because we don't know. We don't genuinely know, and we never will. And I'm fine with that. I still think Zonic's the greatest coach of all time. I think he deserves everything that he's been said in a positive light. This Falcons roster sucks, and I do think it's partially his fault. But that can't take away his past.
No, it doesn't take away his past.
Dude, also a crazy player back in his day.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
He won 3, right?
Yeah, sure. We'll say 3.
I'm pulling going to censor this part, the Score Esports video out of my brain somewhere.
Well, I mean, dude, I was a Source guy. I was a Source kid, so which is disgusting. We don't need to talk more about that.
Won at least 3. But
he's definitely won multiple.
All right.
And then went on to coach and win.
Because he was on a team with the coach Trace, right? Him and Trace were on a team together.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think Zonic obviously is still a phenomenal coach. You don't have the experiences he's gone through and the victories he's had without obviously being good at the job to some capacity, which is boring to say because everyone understands that. I think Blade is the best coach of all time because if you want to look at it from a long-term recruiting aspect, he recruited Simple all the way back in Flipside, where he also recruited Electronic. He recruited Perfecto. He recruited Bit. And Boomich, he worked with as the successor to Zeus a bit. But he basically single-handedly picked, trained, and raised over the span of a decade every single player who was a part of the Grand Slam Navi team.
Counterpoint. Hear me out. We have this conversation in 5 years. You know who's gonna do the same thing as Blade, except also have done more?
What?
Mara. Calling it.
Really? You think Mara's going to go international?
No. I think he's gonna be the Blade of Mongolia. Okay. I think he's going to just continue to go to LAN cafes for the next 5 years.
And he's also only like 22, right?
Mara?
Mara's young as hell, right?
Mara's a
little. Or is
he
32?
He's 34. Yeah,
34. Okay.
I mean, still like not super old.
I mean,
and
Kerrigan
has plenty
is 34.
Of time left to go. Damn.
There's active players at his age. Like he's gonna do this for forever. You're right.
I think Mara's people don't take me too serious when I say that I think Mongolia could be like the new like powerhouse region. But dude, this guy just goes to LAN cafes, finds some fucking 16-year-old, says, "Hey, you're gonna play this professionally now." And then you go compete around the world and you are making playoffs at every tournament you go to. And no one's ever even heard of you before 6 months ago.
That's dude, Mongolia. I mean, if that Deagle play on Dust 2 by the Huns showed us anything, Mongolia has more depth than we know. Yeah. Gotta help us if they actually manage to put together a second internationally competitive team.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I say that in slight jest. Like, I don't know if Mara is actually gonna go up to overtake Blade, but like,
no, but
dude, I think he will go down in history as like a top 10 to top 5 coach of all time.
He's without a doubt a historically monumental figure within their scene, and has, as far as we're aware, no intentions of slowing down.
Exactly.
Why would you? Yeah, I mean, hell, he's built them up to what they are, and he'll go down as the sort of godfather of the scene to a degree. But I don't know, man. Like, I feel like he could do it. I feel like if he, is able to keep building these players, he'll be very similar to Blade in that regard of building up his team. But the thing that solidified Blade for me was really the international win, not the major win with International Navi, but the sustained dominance and competitiveness over the year afterward. Because Copenhagen was a fluke. Whether you want to look at it or not, you replay that final 100 times, FaZe wins it 95, I would say.
Right, I agree.
And so to be able to take his players, who all obviously to a degree are celebrating that we did it, but no way they don't have that doubt somewhere in the pit of their stomach that it's a fluke, and be able to translate that confidence, vibrato, and whatever into sustained dominance while an individual is having one of the best statistical years we've ever seen in Counter-Strike, without a genuine superstar player on the team of, Monesi, Nico, ZywOo, Simple level.
Yep.
I think that's unreal. And this would be sacrilegious. Someone would put me on a pike for saying what I was going to say, so I might say it.
Do it.
Device is not on their level. ZywOo, Simple.
Oh, wait, we're talking all time?
Yeah, so I'm talking about in skill expression, and this is why people will put me on a pike for this.
Okay.
I'm thinking I have Donk, ZywOo, Simple. They are that elite, transcendent type of talent, and I would even argue that ZywOo may not be a part of it because he's less demanding than Donk and Simple. But I would say Device and Nico are more peers than Simple and ZywOo.
Okay. I mean, I'm a hater, so like I'm fine with that statement. I kind of think Device was so good because he worked in a system that worked. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Device, there was a system built around him being the best player on the team, and then having the rest of his team be very, very solid players.
Right.
And that's just how it worked. That's just how it happens. Like if you look at device from Copenhagen Wolves, look at device from TSM, you look at device from NIP, and you look at device at Kern Astralis, he's not built like he was built during that period of domination. Obviously, he's still a great player, and he was still like a standout player on those past rosters. But if you look at TSM device or NIP device, which is the before and the after, and you tell me that is a top 5 player of all time, I'm not agreeing with you at all.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Thank you.
Hot take.
No, I completely agree. And this is, everyone, I can't remember, was it LNZ or it was either LNZ or ZTR, because it's some 3-letter name that was previously associated with NIP when device was on NIP. I think it was ZTR.
I believe it's out.
Or no.
All right.
Was
I was
it?
going to say the opposite.
Well, there we go. Fuck it. It might have been LNZ.
It's one of the two.
All I remember is that the only reason that they made the major when device was with them is because of a very specific round on Ancient where LNZ like tripled out of nowhere to pull their ass out of the fire and win the game. And that is like the only reason they made the major. Very similar to the Jame legging Hauserk through a box on Inferno to make their major they won in Rio. It was just this very weird moment in time. And I just completely lost my train of thought and have no idea what I was talking about.
It's all right. I'll be honest with you. Someone pulled in my in my driveway, and I saw the reflection like blind me in the face, so I missed half of what you just said.
I do not remember what I was even saying, so that's fine.
Bro, you know what? I don't even think we recorded like an intro for the episode.
We didn't. That's fine. I'll fucking throw something together. I think this will be the best one yet, purely just because it's more natural.
Yeah,
I'll edit it out. I'll edit it out.
Thank you. I'm not having that.
I won't have that out there. It won't be publicly available.
Oh, how long have we been going? Oh, we can go for an hour 15.
Yeah, a while.
Damn.
That's why I started recording, because we were just kind of shooting the breeze and getting into it. But you know what?
All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you've stuck through to the end, then oh my goodness gracious, you are quite the committed individual, and I very much appreciate it. Let me know down below what you thought of anything that we talked about, if anything jumped out at you. But otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. I'll have something up relatively soon about Symbol and a Liege, and something rather speculative and completely baseless that I have to say about that. But other than that,